sometimes it's best not to overthink the chalk. And thankfully, that was the case last week for us with Gregory Rodriguez, who went out there and absolutely trucked Dennis Tuliulian exactly the way we expected. We know as soon as these fights get to the ground and there's a gigantic grappling advantage for one fighter over the other, the KO or submission is live, but that's why I was more than happy to just take the chalk straight up on the money line, and he comes through for us. That now pushes our lock of the night prediction record on the year to 70-22 for a 77% hit rate, I believe it is, for a plus 20.95 units and a 4% ROI. Very happy with being in the green pretty well here. Got 3 more lock of the night candidates for you guys for UFC Singapore this weekend. Just a quick reminder that if you're watching this before the PFL fights kick off, you're able to get my predictions on the Patreon below. But there's also a Road to UFC card on Sunday morning, which I'm only going to be releasing breakdowns on the Patreon. So if you're looking for those, link in the description below as well. If you're looking for direct links to past fights for these fighters coming up on these upcoming PFL and Road to UFC and Contender Series cards, I got you covered on the MMA Fight Archive. Over 2,000 plus fighter profiles posted on there right now, and more fighters being added on a regular basis to stay on top of this crazy MMA schedule. Not just the UFC, but the PFL, LFA, Cage Warriors, ACA, KSW, all the best promotions in the world. We got you guys covered. Check the link in the description below for the Fight Archive as well. Get a 7-day free trial to check it out as well. All right, let's get into the top 3 lock of the night candidates for UFC Singapore. First of which is going to be a violence bet on the Liang and vsAldrich fight under 2.5 at minus 180. Now, vsAldrich is a bit of a decision machine. She hasn't really gotten a finish since about 2015 or 2016, if I'm not mistaken, but she has a decided striking advantage here over Liang. Now, Liang, we know she is a kill or be killed kind of fighter. In 25 of her professional fights, 24 out of those 25 fights have not seen the judges' scorecards, and I believe it's 20 out of those 24 that have not escaped the first round. She's very active in terms of looking for takedowns, but she leaves herself open to get hit. She leaves her chin on a silver platter, which a lot of opponents have been able to take advantage of. Most recently, Savannah Gomez-Juarez, who has horrible takedown defense. Liang now was struggling heavily in terms of trying to get that fight to the ground, and we saw Gomez-Juarez completely starch her within a minute and a half of that fight. I think vsAldrich packs a little bit of a sting as well, and if you're giving her, your chin on a silver platter the way that Liang will be, I fully expect this fight to be finished under 2.5. And even on the flip side, if Liang gets this fight to the ground, I think she'll have a decided grappling advantage over Aldrich, especially with how aggressive she is when she's looking for her finishes and dominant positions, and she could potentially finish this fight as well, cashing the under 2.5 regardless. No matter who ends up winning, I think it ends up in violence regardless. So the under 2.5 is going to be the first lock of the night candidate for UFC Singapore. Second lock of the night candidate we have is the chalky spot in Rolando Bedoya. He's coming in at minus 285 right now. He's going up against Song Kanong, who's on a 2-fight losing streak. In both fights, he ended up getting knocked out. Now he's going up against another heavy striker in Bedoya, who came up short in his UFC debut against Chaos Williams, losing by split decision, but made a very good account of himself and showcased that he's another guy that we should keep our eye on coming out of that Charles Oliveira camp. He's a Peruvian punisher, if you want to call it that. The way this guy moves forward and throws big strikes and tries to knock out his opponents. I love his aggressiveness, his forward pressure, and his ability to take shots and swing back even harder. I don't think that Song Kanong has, the greatest striking defense. I think that he has a puncher's chance more than anybody, but I think that Rolando Bedoya has shown off great durability, especially with the shots that he was eating from Chaos Williams last time around. Look for Bedoya to march down Song Kanong and eventually find the finish here, probably in the second or third round. This could even go to a decision if I'm being honest, but I think that the forward pressure and output of Bedoya is just going to be too much for Kanong, and I think that Bedoya comes through on the chalky spot here, which is why he's the second candidate for the lock of the night prediction here. Third and final lock of the night prediction that I have for the candidates here is going to be another violence bet, and it's going to go down in the co-main event between Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann, going under 1.5 rounds. Now, these guys met once before in 2021, where both guys were swinging leather heavily. It was Anthony Smith who was able to hurt Spann and eventually find a submission over him to get his hand raised, all within 3 or 4 minutes of that fight going down. Ryan Spann is an under machine. Out of the 10 fights that he's had in the UFC, 8 of those fights have gone under 1.5. And I expect this one to be the same, where both guys are going to be swinging leather. Spann, he can stand his ground and throw big shots and do pretty well, knocking out opponents like he has against Dominic Reyes. Or if guys like Anthony Smith, the other name is escaping me at the moment, Nikita Krylov, if these guys are willing to exchange in the pocket with him, they can hit him, they can hurt him, then they can take him to the ground and look for easy submissions. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I fully expect Anthony Smith to produce the same result that he did last time. He's going to spring the upside, in my opinion, as the underdog, so underdog spot here as well. But I'm thinking that the under 1.5, regardless of who wins, ends up coming through, and that's currently sitting at minus 180. There you guys go, the top 3 lock of the night candidates for UFC Singapore. If you guys are looking for the top 3 dog of the night candidates, that's going to be dropping later this evening as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll see you guys later this evening. Peace.